Good morning, everybody. This is Gary Patterson again, and I'm here with a weekly update. This is a special weekly update to review the results of our regular board meeting held last evening on Monday, May the 15th at the Benson boardroom. So we're going to review our board agenda, and then I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the end of the year date that's coming up of our tragedy, and as well as what we have in store for school. There were many questions about attendance, if parents wanted to keep their students home during this week and next week, and so I want to touch on all of those things, get you up to date if you weren't able to watch the board meeting last night. So most of the board meeting last night was regular business items. I'll draw your attention to a couple things that might be of interest to you. We had some amendments to our budget. Thankfully, we have some monies left over from the last year and this year in our food service programs. And if we have a surplus in our food service programs for any reason, that program money has to go back into our food service program if we have any surplus monies. And so we did have some surplus monies, and we're buying some new kitchen equipment. We're very thankful for that. Our people work so hard, and we've been able to make some small changes, but our surplus, along with some state money, was able to get us about $235,000 this year worth of new kitchen equipment, which is badly needed in some of our facilities. So that's always a good news. Schools must have a depository named, and a depository is a financial institution that handles all of our monies that come in from taxes and from state revenues. And First State Bank of Uvalde has been our depositor for several years, and they do a really good job, and they're very good. They're a very good business partner and neighbor, and they will continue to be, the board voted for them to continue to be our depository for the next 2 years. We made some slight changes in the grading policies with our secondary schools. Summative and formative assessments were part of that. If you're interested in that, if you can reach out to the academic dean or the principal's office at the high school, they can tell you all the details about that if you're interested in grading procedures. Now, these grading practices will not be in effect this current school year, but will go into effect for the next school year, 23-24. And so other than our regular business items, our regular financial business items, pay the bills, so to speak, accounts payable, accounts receivable, it was pretty much of a routine board meeting on the business side of things. A couple of questions that have come up that I wanted to spend a little time with you this morning. First is the attendance issues that we are facing as we speak. Last Friday, as you know, there were some online threats made in this general area. Eagle Pass, Del Rio, Crystal City, and Uvalde were impacted the most by these online threats. And we had many of our, up to 90% of our parents, 90% of our students were picked up from school from their parents for safety reasons during the day. So as I've talked to you before, historically, when the first year date of a school tragedy such as ours, unfortunately, we see a lot of an uptick, if you will, in social media activity regarding threats, shooting threats, copycat threats, and so forth. And so we had predicted and understood this might be coming, started a little earlier than we had hoped. But last Friday, that's exactly what happened. And as you may know, that these types of threats, these online threats, are designed to cause disruption, stoke fears in our community and our parents and our school districts. As I mentioned, disrupt the school day, bring stress and anxiety to an already very difficult situation. That's what they're designed to do. We have to take each threat seriously. Most of these threats turned out to be hoaxes and non-credible, but we still have to follow all of them up. And we want our community to know that each threat no matter how, if we determine it to be a hoax or not credible, we still take them seriously and try to act accordingly. It's a very difficult situation, and I would like to share just a couple minutes worth of information from the FBI that they sent out to major newspapers this last weekend, talking about how difficult it is to deal with the online threats, just the magnitude of managing or monitoring actually millions of messages that come out every single 24 hours is just a task that's incredibly hard to manage. And so I'll just read a little bit of that to you because I think it brings into focus some of the things we're dealing with at the local level as well as the state and national level where it comes to these types of extreme violent threats that threaten shootings or harm to school districts, or it doesn't have to be just school districts, it can be other organizations as well. It's unrealistic for the public to think that any one service, like the FBI, one database or agency could somehow track everything in real time. That only happens in movies and on television, said Catherine Schweit, former FBI agent. It goes on to say that the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security identified domestic violent extremists, like these threats that we're talking about, as one of the most persistent dangers to the country at this time. The use of online platforms is one of the biggest challenges the FBI faces in countering violent extremism, and I would say it's one of the biggest challenges that school districts face as well. The widespread use of social media has increased the speed, dissemination, efficiency, and accessibility of violent content and provides countless means of establishing connections among like-minded individuals, the FBI continues to say. And the job gets harder every year, and authorities know they can't manage the entirety of the vast, ever-changing digital landscape. That means online traces preventing or predating violent acts like the ones we've seen recently can easily go undetected. And so I just wanted to share that with you, that it's not just a Uvalde issue here. The last threats on Friday extended all the way out to West Texas, Lubbock. We had calls from Lubbock all the way into New Mexico and Arizona. And so that disrupts our environment. There's no question about it. I expect to have more of that. We are planning to have more of these threats as we get closer to the May 24 date. I hope I'm wrong. Yesterday was a good day here. Our attendance, many parents have continued to keep their students at home. And like I say, we hope we don't have to deal with that, but if we do, we've tried to respond quickly to the community, let you know what's going on, and communicate from our campuses and have processes in place if you feel like you need to pick up your child. I do want to answer some questions we had about attendance. We've had a lot of questions about attendance. What if I keep my children home this week? Will there be consequences to that? The answer is no. There's going to be negative consequences if you want to keep your child home this week. We want to encourage, we feel like our schools are safe. All the work that we've done on the exterior, we have multiple law enforcement officers on each campus. Our fencing and gates and cameras are up and running. Our security operations center is up and running. And so we feel like our campuses are safe, but I also understand the anxiety that comes with these online threats. So if you feel the need to take your child out of school or keep them home during these next few days, there's not going to be negative consequences. What we're asking you is that if you feel that way, if you will contact your campus, let them know that you are keeping your child home for safety reasons, then the school can work with you. And if there's outstanding work that's extremely important for them to catch up on or finish before we can finish end of school grading, then the school will work with you on some flexible way to try to get that work made up. That would be the most critical issue. For example, final exams at the high school. So, you know, if you're a student, that's a big issue that the high school is ready to work with you on, but you'll need to contact them, get in touch so we can work with you on some of those issues. But there will not be negative consequences like detention halls, or someone asked about will we be sent to ISS or DAP at the start of the next school year. Of course not. It's just unprecedented times, and we're asking for communication. Let your campus know, and let's try to get any makeup work done, because if the child is home this week because of safety reasons, but the rest of the children are working on end of year grades to get in, then we need to try to find some way where your child doesn't fall behind in that area. And if you have any questions about the attendance model or the attendance questions that I just brought up, just call your campus. They're prepared to talk to you about that. So I hope that answers a little bit of the attendance questions, answers a little bit of the threat. Remember, we're going to be out of school after the 22nd of next week. So on the actual date of our one-year tragedy, then we will be assisting other law enforcement agencies in the city and the county in the activities that are going on that day. So I want to thank you again. This was our last board meeting of the regular school attendance year. We'll move into the summer this next month. I want to thank you for all your support and understanding on this last Friday. It was a very orderly process for the most part, and you played a big part in that by being patient and calm and waiting for, because we were shorthanded because so many people came at once. And so it took a little longer than we would like, but everybody was patient and understanding, and our staff was working as fast and hard as they could. And you, if you came to get your child, we appreciate your patience and support during that. So these are difficult times that we want to remember and honor the students and teachers that we lost. Next week will be about the families and those children and remembering, and that's the way it should be. And if there's any detractors to that, any bad actors that try to disrupt us in any way, we will deal with them the best we can and try to keep you notified. So thank you for hanging in there with us during these difficult times. This will be a lot of activities going on at schools this year with the end of year, and we certainly hope they're not disrupted in any way. We're looking for a good week here in Uvalde, and then next week we'll have a very emotional long week, and then we'll have graduation on Friday night the 26th, and maybe we can see you there. Thank you very much for tuning in for this update, and we'll be back next week with some more information. Thank you.